All right, welcome to Unit 7, Part 4 video. We're talking about parallel lines and proportional parts. If a line is parallel to one side of a triangle and it intersects the other two sides, then it divides the sides into segments of proportional lengths. So for example, here you could say AB over BC is equal to AE over ED. They are proportional lengths. And then the converse of the triangle proportionality theorem says if the corresponding parts are proportional here, then these two segments are parallel. So in triangle RST, RT is parallel to VU. So that means that 3 over 8 is equal to x over 12. And so then you can cross multiply 8x equals 36, divide by 8, and you get x equals 4.5, and that is SU. So for the next one, you would take 10.5 over 4 is equal to x over 6. Cross multiply, so 4x equals... So 4x equals 63, and then divide by 4. And you get that x is equal to 15.75, which is equal to by. So now it says in triangle DEF, DH is 18, HE is 36, DG is 1/2 of GF, so that means it's x and 2x. And it says determine whether or not DH is parallel to FG. Well, does x over 2x equal 18 over 36? And you can cancel the x's, so does 1/2 equal 18 over 36? And the answer is yes. That is parallel since DG over GF is equal to DH over HE. So same type of question for number 40. XY is 15. YZ is 25. WA is 18. AZ is 32. So does 18 over 32, is that equal to 15 over 25? So that when we cross cancel, or when we reduce, sorry, so that becomes 9 over 16, and this becomes 3/5. The answer to that question is no. So then it is not parallel. No, since WA over AZ is not equal to XY over YZ. All right, so the next one. So now the triangle mid-segment, the segment theorem. So if you have that situation where the parts are proportional, so in this case, J and K are the midpoints, and it's parallel. So the segment connecting the midpoints is parallel to the base. Therefore, it is going to be half of the base. So for number 41, DE and EF are mid-segments of triangle ABC. So it wants you to find AB, EF, and the measure of angle AFE. So, since DE and EF are mid-segments, that means that they are parallel to the sides. So here is parallel to there. And that also means that they are half. So for example, since BC is 18, then EF is going to be 9. And since DE is 5, that means AB is going to be 10. And since they're parallel, these two angles would be congruent since they're alternate interior. So the measure of angle AFE equals 87 degrees. All right, so let's look at the next one. So DE and EF are mid-segments, so that means the parts here are equal, and that means parallel here and parallel there. So that means when you're trying to find the measure of angle AFD, which is right here, it's alternate interior with 122. Now to find BC, BC is this here, and if this is 8, then BC is 16. And ED, well, ED is right here, and if this whole thing is 15, then ED is half of it, which is 7.5. So proportional parts of parallel lines. So if you have parallel lines that are cut by transversal, then they divide the parts into proportional parts. And if AB and BC are congruent, then you know EF and FG have to be as well. So that leads us to the next page. So here we have 3 parallel lines cut by 2 transversals. So these lines here are parallel. So 26 over 13 is going to be proportional to x over 16. So when you cross multiply, and divide, you get that x is equal to 32. So that means the distance between those 2 city blocks is 32. So here, on the next one, you have 24 over 8 is equal to 15 over x. So you cross multiply. 8 times 15 is 120, and divide by 24, and x is equal to 5. So here, same thing, you can say 3x minus 7. Now, because these parts are congruent, these parts are going to be congruent. So 3x minus 7 is equal to x plus 5. So 2x equals 12, and x equals 6. And then 8y minus 2, or sorry, 9y minus 2 is equal to 6y plus 4. So then you get 3y equals 6, so y is equal to 2, and x is 6. So for the next one, since these parts are equal, you know these two are. So 4a minus 5 is equal to 3a plus 6. So you get a is equal to 11. And then for the b's, 3b is equal to 5/3 b plus 2. So you multiply everything by 3. So you get 9b is equal to 5b plus 6, because you multiply here and there. Subtract 5b. So 4b is equal to 6. Divide by 4, and b is equal to 3/2. So a is 11, b is 3/2. So for the next one, it says QT is 5, RT is 4, US is 6, find QU. So set up a proportion, 5 over 4 is equal to x over 6. 4x is equal to 30. X is equal to 7.5, which is QU. All right, same picture now. Different letters. So now we have RT is x minus 1. QT is x plus 1. QU is 10. And then QS is 15. So that means that this one is 5. So that means 10 over 5 is equal to, and if you add, or sorry, is equal to x plus 1 over x minus 1. So you cross multiply. And subtract. So you get 5x equals 15, so x equals 3. And that's what it wanted. All right, last two, using this picture here. So the first one, if AB is 5, ED is 8, BC is 11, and DC is x minus 2. You want to find x so that they're parallel. Well, if they're parallel, that means the parts are proportional. So 5 times x minus 2 equals 88, because 8 times 11. So add 10. So 5x equals 98, which means x equals 19.6. So in the next one, you have AB is 4, BC is 5, or sorry, BC is 7, ED is 5, and EC is 13.75, which means that this is 8.75. So it wants to determine whether it's parallel or not. So is 7 over 4 equal 8.75 over 5? Well, that means if you cross multiply, 35 equals 35, which means that's true. So BD is parallel to AE. All right, that concludes our video for part 4. Part 5 coming soon.